Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. With Masters Tokyo over and Fnatic being crowned the champions, the attention is now turning to the next big tournament in the VALORANT season. The last chance qualifier is coming up in a couple of weeks time. Before that we have the Ascension tournament, but Victor gives his thoughts on the LCQ and reckons Sentinels have a very good shout on his opinion to go all the way. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. First of all, of course, plenty of updates into the game yesterday. Quickly wanted to mention again on Deadlock here, just because the new agent comes through. We know that Chet was actually quite a big fan of Harbour, I believe, when he arrived. But as he says, Deadlock might legitimately be the best agent release since Gecko, which of course was the last one. So, it doesn't feel long ago that Gecko was released, to be honest. So these agents are coming thick and fast, there's no doubt. And I saw this funny clip yesterday from XQC where he said that when the game launches, this agent does the healing, this agent gives you a flash, and then by the time you get a few agents in, they're doing straight quantum mechanics, right? And I think it's going to continue to be in a similar vein. But yeah, so Chet's making a bit of a dad joke, isn't he, right? Like it's the best agent release since Gecko, and well, here we are. Is it actually going to be particularly viable? Is she going to be good? Sabrosa says no. And honestly, despite all the talk upon her release that her ultimate was going to be ridiculously strong and impossible to counter, turns out that dodging it is very plausible, and it's arguably her ultimate the weakest part of her utility set. Her other utility is, I think, particularly good at times, and the ultimate I'm not actually sure is that good relative to, the thing that makes you crouch and slow and stuff. Well, that's actually pretty valuable. So I think her utility is pretty good. I'm not sure the ultimate is as strong as we initially thought. There is this as well that was discovered yesterday, that in certain positions, you can use this barrier orb thing to actually boost yourself up here, right? Like this guy gets super hyped about it, right? But it's pretty interesting that this is possible. I don't know if this is intended. I imagine that it's probably not. But in certain spots, you can actually use this to self-boost into places, which could actually be a pretty viable option if this is intended to be used as it is. It might not be, but it's definitely an option. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird utility set, to be honest. It's a bit confusing, but that is one part of it that you at least can consider. There was also this that came up yesterday where Twiston, after, just to respect his legacy, was added into the game as a free chapter award as a title in the game, which I thought was really nice to see. I'm not exactly sure how many shorty kills there were at Masters Tokyo, but I believe that there'll be a lot of donations happening as a result of that over the coming days here. So just nice to see. We know that Vitality aren't going to be competing as a result, to honour Twiston's legacy at the last chance qualifier, and that leaves only 6 teams there in the EMEA side, fighting for now 2 spots more for champions after Fnatic won and therefore gifted their region 1 extra spot. Also just did want to follow up, because yesterday we saw that many of the top players in terms of kills per rounds, I think it was 8 of the 9 top players that weren't Kang, who always uses an operator as his primary weapon pretty much when he can, but all the other top guys, with the exception of cNed, were all on the Vandal. But actually the ratio isn't quite as severe. Back at lock-in, it was 61% Vandal, 39% Phantom, whereas now it's 58-42. So actually things have gone slightly the other way, despite the fact that the majority of the top players, the players that get all the, most of the kills and the highest kills per rounds, it seems like 80 to 90% of them are using the Vandal. But, the Phantom is still very common among plenty of pros, and it apparently is even more common than it was at the start of the season, although it doesn't sometimes feel like that is the case with some of the kills you see. Did also want to wonder, like, with all these new agents coming through, what is going to be the next map that arrives into the game, if any? Or are they going to remaster and bring back an older version? Cloud9 Jake says, bring back and remaster Breeze, please. And this has been a bit of a debate. Look, people don't generally like Breeze. I was never a big fan of it personally, but it is at least a playable map, and I think that a remaster could work for it. It certainly had its intricacies, and at times it was entertaining to watch and to play. Jake wants it back, and also this is the thing going into Champions, let's say, and over the coming weeks, that Deadlock arriving into the game now, is she going to be available come Champions time? Is she going to be like an actual equipable utility? She probably is, to be honest, but do you really want to change things around massively before Champions? I don't think we're going to see any changes to the current map pool before Champions, no way. But, potentially Deadlock being available, and obviously Gecko came in pretty shortly afterwards. The Ascension tournament we see soon in Sao Paulo is unlikely to see any changes there, but coming into the last chance qualifier, coming into Champions, things might change. Probably not the map set though, right? And even as Valor Intel says here, Riot needs to bring back Breeze, and Ethan says worst map in any FPS game. So clearly quite some differences there between Cloud9's Jake and then Ethan, who says, yeah, worst map ever, do not not bring this back at absolutely any cost. So Fnatic win Masters Tokyo, but upcoming then are two big tournaments. First of all, there's the Ascension, right, going on around the world to determine which is going to be the additional team from each region that gets to go up to the Franchise League next season and for the season after as well. You secure 2 seasons of promotion by winning Ascension. That's a big tournament coming soon, but the one that a lot of people are looking for is the Last Chance Qualifier. These are arguably some of the most entertaining tournaments every single year. Champions is good, but Champions, Fnatic might well just win it again. The Last Chance Qualifier, when you go from all the teams that didn't make it to Champions and to Masters already, down to just one team. Super exciting, interesting format this year as well. Victor goes through and does his bracket prediction, and look, I don't know how much NRG have been practicing against Sentinels or these other teams lately because they spent a few weeks out there in Japan, but the rumour had it that Rooney from Cloud9 said that they have been looking Sentinels this is very good in practice and making some big steps lately. So Victor has either heard about this or played them as they've been improving, and definitely Sentinels are the team that placed most poorly a while ago during the regular season, but probably have the most upside, right? Compared to a relatively poor placing, Sentinels arguably have one of the highest upsides of any of the teams here with the roster they have now formed, and Victor seems confident that given the bracket they have, they're going to be able to make a run.
Okay, wait, if they lose this, or whoever loses this gets knocked out, right? Jesus Christ. 100 days lost to MRBR, that is true. How can you know? How can you ever know? I'll give it to Sentinels. The first round is a knockout round apparently, and then the second round is the loser of the second round goes to lower bracket. Cloud9 are being rusty. They're gonna be rusty after a while. Like they haven't played in a minute, you know. They haven't played. It's their first game in a while. Sentinels have already played a game. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Bro, Zelsis was rooting for you guys. Wait, why does it? Wait, why does this mean I don't like Zelsis? Why is it? Why just because I picked C9 or Sentinels to win the matchup that I don't like Zelsis? Who sends IGLs? Is it still Jimzo? As far as I know, I think it's still Jimmy. The Jimzo gas. Alright, bro. Leviathan. You know what I'm saying? Your picks are based or biased? Based or biased? Trust me, I am not biased towards Sentinels. Just gut feeling. You know what I'm saying? Gut. And that will happen. Alright, this will be it, guys. This will be it. Take a picture. Clip it.
And as Victor says there, right, the way the format works is actually quite favourable for a team like Sentinels, because let's say, okay, they play 100 Thieves first round. One of those teams loses and is immediately gone. Sentinels should be favoured there. They could well lose. It's far from guaranteed they win. But if they were to win that, they play Cloud9, a team that I think Cloud9 are pretty much hands down, I guess, the favourites for this tournament. They were very close indeed to making it through guaranteed. They didn't quite. The other teams got the better of them. NRG, Evil Geniuses, right? And of course, Loud. But Cloud9 were very good for the majority of the season and were pretty unlucky to miss out in the end of the playoffs there. So they will be the favourites for sure, but they won't have a warm-up game. Sentinels or 100 Thieves, if they were to win, will have already played a game in that setup and got ready to go. So I think that honestly the momentum and the rust factor might be critical of what Victor is suggesting there. And just wanted to mention then, so this is what's coming up next, at least in terms of the Americas side, because I think the Ascension in the EMEA side goes on for a bit longer before the playoffs start, because there's more regions over there for them to sort out. But this is beginning June the 30th, right? It's been only a few days time now. June the 30th, 9 PM my time. That's when M80 versus the Union begins, and they will play it through the groups here. The group stage is over a couple of days, and pretty much, right, it doesn't matter that much apart from proceeding for the playoffs. So this is just to see a bit of a taster, really. And then based on the way they place here in these groups, they will then get seeded into the playoff bracket. And by July the 9th, we will have one of these 6 teams that will be confirmed through to qualifying for the Franchise League. And then a few days after that, on July the 15th, that's when the Americas LCQ starts. And this is the bracket here. So 700 Thieves on July the 17th. They will play Cloud9 if they were to win that on the 18th. And then they will go on to upper finals, grand finals. And of course, only one team here. Only the winner of the grand finals qualifies for the World Championship. It could have been both grand finalists if EG were to have won the finals. That didn't happen though, and that leaves us in the situation we are in. So according to technical ELO rankings right now in the Americas, NRG are still technically the best Americas team. This is because Evil Genius is, and the ELO rankings take some time to update. They'll always lag somewhat. EG were bad for some time, so them getting great results means that they make progress, but not enough to be technically the #1 best team yet. But I think we can consider them that for now. Cloud9 though is still right here technically with a lot of the top dogs, and Sentinels quite a way further behind, but definitely find themselves in a promising position for the LCQ. But very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.